hitting and playing well defensively, blocking shots, and that's what hockey's all about. If you want to be a champion, you have to do all the little things as a team.
Adam Graves had this blend of drive and fearlessness that gave the Rangers a kind of a character that was something that most teams didn't have.
He played tough, he played in front of the net, he took a lot of hits. He was a terrific teammate who always put team first, and you can't have enough of those guys to win a Stanley Cup.
He was very hard to play against. He was a fighter, he was a hitter, he could score goals, and he was just such a pain in the butt to every team that he played against.
Although Adam Graves' contributions didn't always make the highlight reel, in a career that includes 2 Stanley Cup championships, he defined a new role in hockey.
Adam was sort of at the front of the power forward movement in the NHL.
He was a guy that would be able to do all of the little things, whether bring the puck out of the corner, win battles in the corner, score, set up plays, be able to do it all, but do it with a lot of presence.
In that era of the NHL, you could be a lot more physical in front of the net on defense, and you could whack away at the guy.
You were like a piece of lumber about to get chopped up by a woodsman. Cross checks to the back, to the neck. The goalie is whacking you in the ankles.
The things that a power forward was supposed to do, it comes with injuries and a few hundred stitches in the face, nose, teeth, but it was all worth it.
You couldn't break his determination, really, in front of the net.
It was natural for him. It was not like he considered this a great burden. The cop has a job to do his thing, fireman does his thing, and Adam did his thing.
I knew that there were certain things I had to do. Make sure that you're always going to the net, stopping at the net. When you're playing away from the puck, play hard, play mean. If I did those things, then hopefully goals would be a byproduct of that.
Graves defended by Stevens. Around behind, Graves up with it. Put one in front, he scores!
He outfought Stevens, came around in front, and beat Marty Brodeur, one of the great goalies of all time. Won the game, and he won the playoff. It was just a phenomenal achievement, and that, to me, was everything that Adam Graves was all about as a forward.
I grew up a Devils fan, and I remember I hated his guts, hated him, hated Adam Graves. Then I got to know him the first year covering the Rangers, and I thought, I'm going to hell. I mean, it was ridiculous. How can you not like Adam Graves? How can you think he's a bad guy? Because he is the nicest man ever.
You want blood on too? Or, yeah? Holy smokes. You look great. Oh, look at that. Hey?
Well, when I think of Adam, I think of someone who has inherent goodness. Adam really was the people's player.
You will never find an athlete who touched more people than Adam. This guy just stops and talks to people. He's just so real.
On the ice, Graves' skill earned him celebrity status, which he used to bring smiles to those less fortunate. A visit to Nick Springer, who at the age of 14 contracted a form of meningitis that cost him parts of his arms and legs, showed the true measure of Adam Graves.
Nick was an ice hockey player. So the New York Rangers heard about Nick, and they were all great. Adam was particularly wonderful. He and his wife, Violet, came up on Christmas Eve and surprised my husband and Nick.
And he just shows up with his wife and had like a little bag, brought me some goodies, brought me like a Ranger jersey and stuff like that. And said, you know, anytime you want to go to a Ranger game, you're more than welcome.
To me as a parent, it was really important to have Adam involved in our lives.
If Adam hadn't stopped by that day, I don't really care to imagine what my life would have been like, because that just gave me such a good attitude and gave me such an aggressive mentality towards it that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get better and I'm just gonna learn to deal with it.
Adam Graves is a kind, genuine, big-hearted fellow who truly cares about other people, and thankfully one of those people was my son, Nick.
When Chris King found out that he was coming to the Rangers, he said, wait till you meet this guy. I said, what's the big deal? This guy's a 9-goal scorer. He said, wait till you see this guy. Wait till you meet this guy.
This guy is pure, always has been. That goes back to his upbringing, the family. That's where it starts with these guys.
Adam was his parents' only biological son, but from the time he was 3 years old, Graves had a wealth of brothers and sisters in the house.
His parents, Henry and Linda, were very involved in the foster program. It's been written extensively how they had 30 to 40 kids who would come through their home.
We'd had foster children, brothers and sisters, that had lived at our house for, 3, 4, 5 years, and then we had other kids that would come for a weekend or even for a day.
He always called every child his brother or sister, no matter how long they had been with him, and they were all just part of the family.
They had to abide by the same rules. They had the same workload as far as chores were concerned and being part of the family, so it was a lot of fun.
All he would say was, it was so wonderful having all these kids in the house coming in and out all the time, and never a word about it being difficult at all.
To know someone who experienced that and had many, many foster brothers and sisters come in, it develops a certain respect and sensitivity towards mankind, to everyone.
Along with an extraordinary upbringing, Graves grew up with special abilities in the hockey rink. By the time he was 17, Graves was playing for the Windsor Spitfires of the Ontario Hockey League. In his first year, he drew the interest of NHL scouts, and in 1986 was drafted by the Detroit Red Wings.
I can remember going into training camp in Detroit that first year and how nervous I was. I was more just intimidated of the great players, the Stevie Yzermans, guys of that ilk that, you look and say, geez, this guy is a fantastic hockey player.
After scoring only 7 goals in 78 games with Detroit, Graves was traded to the Edmonton Oilers. It was in Edmonton where Graves began to show promise as part of Edmonton's famed Kid Line.
Well, he first came over to Edmonton. He played center on a line we called the Kid Line. It was him, Joe Murphy, and Martin Geno. The whole line itself was a great speed, forechecking line. They were instrumental in us winning, quite honestly.
And when I got to the National Hockey League level, I knew that was the one way that I could get their attention, is to play aggressively. And as you get to play, then maybe you can show what you can do. And when I went to Edmonton, I was given that opportunity, and certainly in the playoffs, a greater opportunity.
On a team filled with championship experience, Graves established himself as a key element on an Oiler team looking to win yet another Stanley Cup. In the playoffs, Graves scored 5 key goals and added 6 assists as the Oilers won their 5th championship in 7 seasons.
I'll never forget standing on the bench with about 10 seconds left in the Boston Garden, looking up in the stands, looking for my mom and dad, thinking, this can't be true.
When Adam first arrived, we didn't really know much about him. Not many people did. He played on the 4th line in Edmonton, or the 3rd line, during the Stanley Cup year in 1990.
I remember being at a luncheon with Neil Smith the day they made the deal for Adam Graves. And I remember Neil saying that we're getting a real character guy.
When Chris King found out that he was coming to the Rangers, and none of us knew him, Chris King said, wait till you meet this guy. I said, what's the big deal? This guy's a 9-goal scorer. He said, wait till you see this guy. Wait till you meet this guy.
I think the biggest reason I came to New York was this team was going in the direction of trying to win a championship. And New York was always a place that I thought was bigger than life.
He was so eager to perform and to take a place on the big stage in New York. Adam wanted as much responsibility as you could give him.
I'll never forget getting on the ice and warm up, and the hair on the back of your neck was standing up, and we want the cup. We want the cup.
Ball off to the puck. Now Graves, he scores!
Adam had not hit his stride, his maturation as a hockey player. And then when Adam finally came to New York, the timing was right, the rose was blooming.
Graves wasn't the only player brought in from Edmonton that year. He was joined by perennial all-star Mark Messier. Together on the Rangers' first line, they formed a devastating combination.
Adam Graves was sort of Robin to Messier's Batman on that line. They patrolled Gotham hockey, and they were a pretty good dynamic duo.
Adam, you know, was skating on his left wing and was linked to him at the hip. Anytime another team thought of messing with Messier, they knew they were going to have to deal with Adam.
He was one of those guys that coaches love. Anytime somebody crossed a teammate, Adam was there.
Nobody really had to protect Marc Messier, but it's nice to have somebody around who could take a little bit of the heat off Messier, and Adam was perfect for this.
These are the guys that were like family. And like anything else, you take things personally. It's all about sticking together, and that's all part of being a team, and I took pride in trying to be part of a team.
The best part of Adam as a Ranger is that he had the skills in Edmonton, but he added a dimension that we didn't really know existed.
You never knew that he would score a lot of goals until he really started scoring goals.
2-on-1 developing. Messier to Graves. He scores! Rangers stopped in that corner by Adam Graves. Shoot off one time. It's goal! Adam Graves! Pass across. Score! Adam Graves!
He started, you know, turning into a scorer and into a banger, grinder, a power forward that every team coveted, and lucky for us we had.
He would score when you just didn't expect it. It wasn't just a, you know, 7th goal in an 8-goal game, but it would be an important goal.
Most of his goals were about a foot and a half in length. He was a guy who would just go to the front of the net, deflect shots, get rebounds.
I always tried to worry about the little things, and then scoring was a byproduct of it. I wasn't a guy that was going to deke around 3 or 4 guys and wow you with my skills. I was a guy that certainly benefited from playing with a lot of great players.
And you'd ask him, how'd you score that goal? He's like, oh, it was luck. Just knocks off my foot, it knocks off my shoulder, it knocks off my stick, as if he had nothing to do with it.
By his 3rd season with the Rangers, it was impossible to discredit Graves' ability to score goals. While he went about his business of helping the Rangers win, he quietly put together the best goal-scoring season in team history.
Playing toward the net, blocked in front. Graves turns, he scores! Adam Graves! Now the celebration begins! 51 goals for Adam Graves, a Rangers record.
Had 2 outstanding years in Edmonton, and to go back there and to be able to score 50 and 51 in Edmonton was great. You know, in the perfect world, you'd have it at the Garden, but if there was a second choice, it certainly would have been Edmonton.
I'm sure the Edmonton Oilers were wondering, well, how did this guy get away? You know, here's a guy who was brought in to score his single-digit goals and to kill penalties, and now he's going to be a 50-goal scorer. It's beyond belief.
It had been 22 years since a Ranger last scored 50 goals. But Graves and the rest of his team had their sights set on ending an even longer and more painful drought. As they headed into the playoffs that year, they were intent on ending 54 years of Stanley Cup futility.
If it was ever going to happen in their lifetime, this was the year it had to be. I think anything short of that would have been a major disappointment.
After surviving a grueling 7-game series with the Devils in the Eastern Conference Finals, it seemed as though they would breeze through the Stanley Cup Finals after jumping out to a 3-1 series lead. They were only 1 win away from ending Ranger fans' excruciating wait for the Cup.
3-on-2 for the moment. Rangers get back. Shot. Score! One save made. Break the rebound. Score! This, my friends, is going to go to the ultimate game in hockey.
It was either going to be one of the greatest nights in the history of Madison Square Garden, or maybe the most crushing disappointment for all those people who had waited so long to see the Rangers finally break through and win the Stanley Cup.
The chant of "We want the cup" going up from the crowd here at Madison Square Garden.
Never forget getting on the ice and warm up, and you know the hair on the back of your neck was standing up. And we want the cup. We want the cup.
Bubble off to the Rangers. Bubble off to the puck. Now Graves, he scores! Adam Graves, and the Rangers lead 2-0.
Adam scoring a goal like that is another example of why he was so valuable. It's the timing, it's the opportunity, it's what you need at that very moment. And suddenly, boom, he scores one that they really need.
The air of intensity in the Garden that night, from every step, every shot, every hit, every pass, people were on the edge of their seat.
The
that energy just kind of draining out and just people just thoroughly enjoying themselves and the exhilaration of being a champion in 54 years of having something happen. That is something that will stay with me for a long, long time because it meant a great deal to me as a player and as a human being.
The 1994 New York Rangers have done it. No more curses. This is unbelievable.
Without Adam Graves, the Rangers don't win the Cup in '94, period. It would have been impossible to plug another player in to that role and have him do it as well as Adam Graves did.
That year, Adam did almost everything you could expect from him. He was a goal scorer. He was a physical forward that controlled the corners. He killed penalties exceptionally well. He blocked shots. He did whatever was asked of him.
He was the glue that held that team together. I mean, you don't get bigger names than the Messiers, the Richters, the Leaches. But in this 1994 season, there wasn't a bigger name than Adam Graves.
It's hard to say he's the most valuable player on the team with Richter and Leach and Messier. And yet, he was. He was the most valuable guy on the team.
Playing in New York, Graves was just as valuable away from the rink. Using lessons learned from his childhood, he sought ways to give back.
Plenty of Rangers and plenty of other New York athletes have charities that they're very heavily involved in. But Adam was involved in charities in ways that other athletes aren't.
He helped organize the Toys for Tots program with the Rangers.
He got the word out that if you bring a toy, I'll give you an autograph.
The line snaked around a whole city block of people coming not only to donate toys, but to get an autograph or shake hands with Adam or take pictures.
They'd be scheduled for 1 to 3 p.m. and at 7 p.m. Adam would still be there trading his signature.
Adam always made sure if he had to be there for 5 hours, he was there for 5 hours, so every last person got an autograph, got their picture, got a smile, whatever it was.
I mean, that's the one part of being a professional athlete that you should cherish is that you get the opportunity to meet a lot of people you wouldn't otherwise get to meet. There's nothing difficult about that.
The last 30 years, Family Dynamics has been dedicated to really strengthening families and protecting children from abuse, neglect. Adam comes out and he really talks to the young people, really encourages them. I mean, he's really very personable. The kids really gravitate to him.
Adam is nothing short of amazing. The first time he came out, they were all playing football in the street. And he goes out and he starts playing football with them. And literally at 7:30 at night, when it was totally dark and the street lights didn't work, we still couldn't get Adam off the street to go home. He still wanted. They wanted to play football. He wanted to play football.
He keeps coming back and asking, is there anything else he can do? He really contacts us first. Is there anything I can do? And how can I be helpful?
It's Adam calling up saying, what about those kids that I saw the other week? I know they're having a get-together. Can I help?
As much as you give, you get. How can a 7-year-old with a smile on their face not rub off on you in a positive way?
New Yorkers can see through phoniness quicker than a hot knife goes through butter. And Adam Graves certainly was recognized as a great guy.
By 2001, Graves had scored 280 goals with the Rangers and affected countless lives in the community. However, the physical play he had become synonymous with had taken its toll, and it was becoming evident that his time playing in New York was coming to an end.
I think it hurt a lot of Ranger fans when that trade was made. Messier obviously is worshipped by these people here, but Adam is beloved in a different way by the true Ranger fans, more than any other Ranger I've ever seen.
When you're a heart and soul guy, which is Adam, the end had to be hard. It had to be hard.
It's a privilege to wear that red, white, and blue, but there's a beginning and an end to everything, and certainly I think that as a player you understand that and you move on.
He made it clear that he had appreciated every second of his time in New York, and he let everybody know exactly what it meant to him to be as big a part of Rangers history as he was, and as always, he was classy to the end.
I don't think I was ever more nervous for a game than that first game back.
An emotional moment as Adam Graves holds back tears.
No, it was expectedly a huge ovation. And there were a lot of tears on his part and the fans' part, his family. It was a hero's welcome.
That is something that will stay with me for a long, long time because it meant a great deal to me as a player and as a human being.
He could walk into Madison Square Garden tomorrow and just sort of walk out onto the ice and the place would go absolutely crazy. Every time that guy is anywhere near that building, it's like a rock star just came in.
The support that I had as a player and equally, if not more importantly, as a person, both on and off the ice, was second to none. People lining up for 3-4 hours in the cold to donate 15, 20 toys, and that really ties me to this city and what it means to be a New Yorker.
Graves retired from hockey in 2003, and 2 years later, the Rangers brought him back to the organization as Special Assistant, Prospect Development and Community Relations.
You bring him back because it establishes a credibility to what you're doing in the community.
I'm not saying he was the greatest player. I'm saying he was the greatest Ranger. Okay, there's a slight distinction, okay, because there were no limits to the sacrifices that he would make and the commitment that he felt to the Crest and to the team and to the Garden and to the fans.
I think you could appreciate his gifts on the ice for what they were, but you have a greater appreciation for him as a person because not only did he entertain you, but he also reached out to you and he also showed his compassion.
If I was going to be a hockey player, I'd want to be Adam Graves. And yet, I don't think of him first as a hockey player. I think of him first as a person.
There's not too many guys like an Adam Graves, that's for sure. Hopefully my kids grow up to be like Adam Graves.
If I had a son, I would like him to be like Adam Graves.
I think if you want your boy to grow up to be somebody, Adam Graves ain't so bad.